The government is scrambling to contain the spread of the Indian coronavirus variant after cases more than doubled in the last week.
Now, with just days to go until restrictions ease, allowing friends and family to meet inside, the Prime Minister has refused to rule out a return of local lockdowns because of this concern. Well, should there be a return to lockdowns, and will they do the trick, keeping us safer? Joining us is restaurant owner David Wilson from Blackburn, where there's been a spike in cases, and Professor Gabriel Scally, an epidemiology expert and member of the government's Scientific Advisory Board. Well, look, let's come to you. First of all, keen as you are to get your pub open, to get things going as so many people are for business, were you surprised to hear the reservations of people there and the concerns? And do you think that you could survive another lockdown?
Good morning, Katie. Good morning, Ben. No, I definitely don't. You know, I don't think we could survive whatsoever. I mean, Boris turned around and he told us he promised there won't be another lockdown. I mean, it's obviously not working doing the lockdowns. And there's no way as a small business, it's going to be, it's probably going to be the end for us.
David, how hard has it been throughout all of this to try and adhere to government guidance, to do your best to get your business up and running when eventually you get it open and then only to have it closed again, and now to have this looming threat on the horizon that actually, because of the situation where you are based, there could be further problems for you?
Well, it's horrible. It's heartbreaking. Again, you know what I mean, with all the team and that lot and built up, you know, during the last lockdown and that lot, we were feeding old people at the beginning, end-of-life palliative care in that lot, and then trying to adapt to do takeaways and deliveries, which is not the same as going out. We're a Destiny venue where people come for the vibe and the experience. So to us to say it now in that lot, again with staff, what we lost through the last one, we just rebuilt a team and opened a beer garden and booking events. And again, we just had all the deliveries of a beer, all our orders placed in for the food on Monday. You know, and to turn around and for us all now to be in limbo, worrying again. I mean, the money that the government give us, is nowhere near enough. You know, and it will.
Well, look, Professor Scally, you're a member of Independent Sage. You know, for people like David, and there's so many of them, not just in pubs and hospitality, but in other areas, and for everyone's mental health, you know, nobody wants restrictions to stay longer than they need to, or lockdowns, local lockdowns come into place for those that live in those areas. However, you could see that some people still are concerned. And is it a way of easing restrictions for most of the country whilst protecting those in areas of concern where this Indian variant is? Or is it just inconveniencing and damaging for those people? And ultimately, history has shown in the last year or so that it leads to a national lockdown anyway.
I don't think that things need to lead to a national lockdown. Couple of points. One, some of these variants are very dangerous. And this Indian variant, we already know it's highly transmissible. It may even be more transmissible than the Kent variant, which has largely taken over. But this may trump the Kent variant. We don't know yet whether it's going to cause more disease or more severe disease. The numbers are not yet great enough to tell us that. And we don't know yet whether vaccines will protect completely against this new variant. They undoubtedly will prevent nearly all, if not all, deaths, but they may be evaded to the extent that people might get ill with it and end up in hospital. So we need to be cautious. That's the first thing. But the second thing is we don't need to go into lockdown. Isn't the only thing we can do. And I've been arguing, and Independent Sage have been arguing for a long time, that we need to get our resources operating at a local level much better. We need to be supporting the local directors of public health and their teams, reinforcing them, giving them the real tools of the job to go after the variant. For example, we're still not in the UK testing close contacts, people who are at the highest risk, people who've been in close contact with someone who's tested positive, are still not tested routinely. They're asked to isolate and come forward for testing if they're symptomatic, and that isn't really good enough. And I believe there should be local powers to continue social restrictions like mask wearing or even closing premises if needs be. But we really need to throw the kitchen sink at this virus at a local level. But the variation in cases across the country, particularly of this local variant, is so wide that there is no need, in my view, my personal view, no need at this present time for lockdown. And there should be no need for it in the future if we do the job properly at the local level, which we're not doing yet.
OK, so, David, obviously some sort of words of encouragement from the professor there, but the issue is we're not doing enough locally to really throw the kitchen sink at it. What would you urge the government to consider over the next few days as we approach the lifting on Monday, potentially, with regards to your business and your sort of fellow restaurateurs in and around the country and where you are?
To listen to the people. You know, it's obviously not working. By targeting the pubs in the hospitality industry, it's not working. I know it should be about choice. That people, if they want to go and have the vaccine, it's there for them, the same as wearing masks. I mean, I've had both of my injections for that reason, to get some normality back into my life. Now, again, half of the country and the people who are the most vulnerable, have had the vaccine. So it should be about a choice, and the government should concentrate on the areas where the virus is appearing, you know, and going to them and encouraging them. And again, it's about choice if people want to have the vaccine or they don't want to have it. But I mean, I've taken it just to get in 10 years. I've just opened this business, and on my 10th anniversary, I was closed, no people in. And all I want to do is to carry on my business. To go bankrupt at this stage, it'd just be horrible. It'd be heartbreaking when it's not going to make any changes. In no way is it going to make any changes.
Sorry, David, why do you say that lockdowns and restrictions and the closure of pubs don't work? Because people will look at the figures and say, well, the numbers are very small now since it's been in place.
Well, again, they've got it under control in a lot of the senses. In that we've done really well. I mean, what should have happened? The borders should have been closed. That in March, as soon as they recognised in March that was happening, giving them a week to come back in that lot before they start doing the red list in that lot. Obviously, the virus is going to come, but that hasn't come from the hospitality industry. It's not us. You know, we're just trying to make a living in that lot, and the same as local pubs in that lot. You know, and some of them with no beer gardens and that lot. It's not there. You know, they have to target where the virus is.
Yeah, Professor, Professor, you can just come to you. You can understand David's frustration, because undoubtedly the hospitality industry has been so heavily hit. And what we saw after the first lockdown listed was all of the various things they put in place to make sure that patrons could come to those hospitality venues and enjoy themselves safely, and yet they were still told that they had to close down. I mean, I can see and you can hear the frustration in David's voice. His 10th anniversary, he's built up this business, a successful business, and he's really close to going to the wall because he's being stopped from trading, when he's gone to the nth degree to make sure anyone coming into his restaurant will be safe.
Oh, I have such sympathy for David and all the people like him who own pubs and restaurants and just want to run their businesses safely for their customers. But it's the virus that is keeping businesses closed at the present time, and it's the virus that could continue to keep places closed in towns or cities like Blackburn or Bolton. But we can do more, and David's quite right. This variant shouldn't have been allowed into the country any more than we should have allowed free passage for the virus right at the very beginning. So he's completely right about that. But we need more effort at the local level. That means more resource, and it means helping GPs find the people who haven't been vaccinated, who maybe are hesitant about it, and go out to them and try and convince them, maybe offer them vaccination in their own homes. All of the stuff that we've been saying for ages about the necessity of testing people and helping support people in isolation. It's no coincidence. The places where the incidence of the virus is highest are the places with the most deprivation, the most overcrowded housing, and places with a high proportion of black and minority ethnic communities. And they need the resources, and they need them now. So to stop this virus taking off again. Unfortunately,
we're going to have to leave it there, but we do appreciate your time. Go on then, one more then, David, quickly.
Just one thing in that lot, but the biggest thing, I totally respect the Professor, but the thing is about mental health. People need to get out. People now with suicide and depression and mental health is skyrocketing, even locally where I live. You know what I mean? People need to get out and socialise. You know, I understand, again, if they're wearing masks and they've had the vaccine, but people need to have some normality. Yeah. And this is where people go out to meet, to have a meal and to socialise.
Well, look, you've made an impassioned case for us this morning, David. We wish you all the best, and fingers crossed you do get to open that restaurant and celebrate your 10th anniversary. I'm sure in any Caribbean Calypso restaurant it'll be done in style, and undoubtedly in yours. because it looks like the lights are on and you're ready to welcome people in already this morning. So thank you for joining us. And Professor Scally, good to see you as ever.
And we have been voting in a Twitter poll, haven't we? 60% of people think that there should be local lockdowns where COVID cases are spiking. So it shows there's still a lot of concern out there.
Yeah, 64.3% at the moment. You can continue to vote if you go onto the GMB website and onto the Twitter.